Today I'm going to talk about lumbar decompression or lumbar distraction and its role in wound pain relief and healing for disc injuries such as disc herniation, disc bulge, or disc protrusion. When you have a disc injury, whether it is from a car accident, from a fall, from a lifting injury, the disc gets displaced from its original position and it varies differently injury to injury. Let's suppose that this is your disc and it sits between two segments of your spine like this. When you have a disc injury, let's say this part of the disc is compromised. So what happens is it bulges out like so, this way. How do we make this go back to the middle? We have to create space. So as we create space, the disc goes back to the middle, so it no longer bulges out. So this is kind of an exaggeration, but you get what I mean. Something that bulges out comes back to the middle once you elongate it. Now we don't want to elongate to the point where it compromises the structure, but we elongate just enough that it creates almost like a vacuum for a disc to come back in. We know that with a unidirectional disc bulge, which means it only bulges out in one direction, so it only bulges out toward this way, all we have to do is to kind of squish it back, and we do that through extension exercise. So if the disc protrudes this way, we can push it back in through an extension exercise, such as a hip thrust forward or a exercise like the cobra stretch. If the disc bulges out this way for some reason, we would do a flexion exercise, such as the child pose stretch would be a good example. What happens if it's compromised on both sides? If it bulges out both forward and back. If that's the case, then we cannot do flexion or extension exercise, because when you do flexion, it will push the disc the opposite direction, and that will make it worse in that direction and more painful. And the same thing if we do an extension movement, which pushes the disc in the anterior direction and also makes it more painful and injury worse. So we cannot do either flexion or extension, or we're left with is just neutral, being straight. So we can do things like deep breathing and try to fill the air with neutral spine, and we can incorporate that into decompression exercises. There's a couple of different decompression exercises you can do these decompressions in various positions. Let's go over from the easiest one, which is lying down on your back. The most basic version of lumbar decompression is just to lie down on your back and elevate your legs on the chair, or if you're on your bed, on a couple of pillows. And when in this position, the legs are unweighted, the pillows or the chair takes off the weight of the legs from your spine. And if you want to go an extra step, you use your hands, put it on your thighs, and gently push your legs away from your stomach. In the exact same position, you can also reach your arms toward your headboard or the metal bars of your headboard, and you pull. This takes away the weight of your upper body from your lower body. So there's another way you can do a decompression for your spine. Now you're just decompressing through your upper body, so it creates space throughout your upper back, mid back, and eventually lower back. Let's talk about decompression in a sitting position. So in a sitting position, ideally you want to use a chair with armrests. You press your arms down into the armrest, extend your elbows, and basically lift your bottom off the chair and try to relax your lower body and just put your entire body weight on your wrists. And this way it creates space with the help of the weight of your legs and gravity. Lumbar decompression in the standing position. In a standing position, you need to find either a table of either waist height or a little bit higher. Now, if it's around waist height, which is like a level of a dining room table, you put your hands flat on the table, and then you extend your elbows, keep your elbows straight, and then you lean forward onto your wrists. And you can raise your heels a little bit, go on a little tippy toe. You transfer your weight to your hands and wrists. That's one way. If you have a little higher surface, like a vanity top or a countertop, you can put your forearms and your elbows on the surface, and then you bend your knees a little bit to create that decompression. You're transferring your body weight onto your elbows and your forearms. This is probably the easiest one because you don't have to keep any body part straight. There are several other ways to do lumbar decompression. If you can tolerate it, you can use a pull-up bar. And that's another way, just dangling, just hanging. You're not doing a pull-up, you're just hanging and relaxing your lower body. That would also be a version of lumbar decompression. If you have a lot of irritation, a lot of pain, this might be too aggressive and too painful for you. Probably better off doing some of the other versions that are more gentle, more comfortable.